Yes, okay. Hello and welcome to another episode of Yarn to Table. I'm Celeste and this is a show about my knitting life. I've got the little one at home alone today. She's just off camera, so you may hear some babbling and there may be some interruptions, and she may make a little cameo. She's at an age where she loves to roll over onto her tummy, but she can't get back onto her back, so after a little while she starts to fuss. So yeah, but she's just had her nap and everything, so we should be good to go, I believe. You can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Celeste Foal, and Ravelry is where you're going to find all the details on all of my projects. I do link them as different blogs, so if you go to the blogs tab of the projects, you can find relevant episodes of this show where I talk about each project, and the projects page is very up to date with information like needle size and yarn and stuff like that, and even the names of patterns, which I oftentimes cannot remember and give you accurately when I record because I have serious mom brain. Also, apologies for the terrible light today. It's kind of early in the day and we have a huge tree, and so there's just not a lot of natural light coming in at the moment. It's overcast, so I have the really horrible overhead on and it just looks atrocious, but I figured I would just do it today because otherwise it's probably not going to get done, and I definitely wanted to check in with you guys. I know. So let's start with what I'm wearing, which includes a couple of finished objects. This is my latest garment. It is a pattern by Jacqueline Cieslak. I think it's Cieslak. But hers was made as a woolly wool sweater with bulky weight wool and full-length sleeves. I used a linen yarn from Quince and Co, their Kestral yarn, and kept the sleeves short to make it into a summertime garment, which I'm very, very excited about. I've been wearing it with just a little lace bralette because it is quite see-through, so I think it's nice to have something a bit decorative underneath. And it's definitely got quite a crop to it. I'll show you how it finishes on me. So there's these are at my natural waist, I would say. And there's a little bit of skin showing most of the time. It's got this great triangular half brioche stitch feature, as well as brioche going down the center and the sides, and here at the raglan sleeve increases. And I did add a tiny bit of length and it's still quite cropped on me, but I think that's mainly because of just how large my bust size is. One of the great things about this pattern is she includes darts, which are basically just short rows that you do where your chest is. And you can choose from different cup sizes, and I did do that, and I think it's amazing, and it's something I'm probably going to add to other patterns from now on because it definitely helped it fit better. But also I'm just so big in that area, especially right now with breastfeeding, that I think even with the darts, it just made the whole thing a little bit too short, a little bit too just under my breasts. I'm also, wearing the bralettes and stuff right now with breastfeeding, so they're a little lower than they ordinarily would be, so that might be changing with where I want it to sit. But I think I added maybe an inch or so, maybe a little more to the length in the pattern. Finished with a tubular bind off, so it's got a really pretty edge, and I'm loving it. This is the first day I've worn it because it has been quite cold here. We're just starting to have some warm days here in the middle of May. And yeah, yeah, what else is there to say about it? I'm really excited to have another summer garment. I'm working on another one, which is my whip that I'll show you later. And it's nice because they work up a little bit faster sometimes than sweaters, and I haven't finished a sweater in a long time because of becoming a mom. And now that it's warm weather, it's really exciting to get to wear something that I've just finished because I haven't had that feeling in like since last year, I guess. The other thing I'm wearing is also a finished object, and that is this felted earring. I think they're called the Moonrise earrings, and they are by Tiny Owl Knits, and I'm completely obsessed. I made two. This one has the design that's in the pattern, and this one has a little rainbow that I sort of made up myself. And it's a lovely, really fast pattern. It's fingering weight yarn. You knit it up. You do duplicate stitch for the design, and then felt the whole thing by hand, which does not take very long as it's small, and it's a really good first felting project because it is just a simple shape, and so you don't have to worry about like fitting your foot like you would for a slipper or something like that. And then there's some fringe, which is then lightly felted, and just pop a earring topper in. You could definitely wear them both together. It's a lot of look. I've been enjoying wearing just one at a time. I usually have my hair over the shoulder, so I've enjoyed just adding one to the ear that is exposed, and I think it's really cute. You may notice as well that I've got a bit of a color scheme going on right now, and all right, she's on her belly, so the countdown begins until she needs to be flipped back over. I've got a bit of a color scheme going with the colors that I'm just so obsessed with right now, with like this sort of rosewood color and these coppers, which go really nicely with the like burnt orange terracottas that I've been into for the last year or so. And basically all of my finished objects and my work in progress this week are all in the same family. So there's definitely an obsession going on right now, and I'm just embracing it, feeling it. I've even got like a coppery eyeshadow on today because it's just like all these colors just look so beautiful together to me, and I'm really, sometimes you just get into a mood with certain colors, and I'm definitely in this kind of like rosewood copper bronzy kind of place, mauves. I just think they're gorgeous. So there will be lots more in that color family as I continue to show you what I've been making. This is one of those patterns, like I said, it came up so quickly, came together so quickly, and it's really nice to have those small instant gratification knits right now as a busy working from home mama. I've been working from home through the quarantine and taking care of my little one who's 5 months now, and yeah, between everything, the knitting is something that I continue to do and I have to do for my mental health, and I love to do, but it's definitely more difficult to do the larger, more complex projects. So I have a lot of small instant gratification things to share with you, which does make for an interesting episode, so that's nice. The next one is a scrunchie. This was made out of the leftover yarn, the linen kestrel from my top, and you can see it up close here. It's got like a kind of like a ribbon shape to it. Really beautiful linen yarn. And this is a simple pattern. I think it's a free pattern. You can find it on Ravelry. It's just called Kestrel Scrunchie, I think. You ready to get back on your back? You want help? One moment. And she's back on her stomach again. Literally just sat down and there she is. You bad girl. How's mommy gonna get through this, huh? Okay, there she goes. Okay, we're gonna try this for a little while. This is Cosette. We call her Coco, and she is 5 months old. Hi, everybody. And you've probably seen her on Instagram because she is my entire life right now, and definitely my Instagram because she's the cutest thing in my life right now for sure. So, where was I? Talking about the scrunchie. So it's a really simple pattern, and it does involve a seam, which if I were to do it again, I think I would totally do like a Kitchener's situation. I would do a, what do you call it? Provisional cast on, and then I would Kitchener the end so that we didn't have a seam, because the seam is visible and creates not that great of a shape on the scrunchie. Not that you can really tell, but I notice it, so if I make a second one, I'll definitely do that. I considered doing it the first time, but you know, like I said, I'm in such a situation with my life right now where doing things like that it's just that little bit extra that sometimes you just go and do things according to the pattern because it's like it keeps it simple and your brain is pretty fried. So that's my excuse. But yeah, the pattern is great. It comes in 2 sizes. I think this is the large one. And you do need a bit of elastic, obviously, for the inside. Although I'm sure you could use just like an existing hair elastic if you wanted. I had elastic for sewing that I used. Yeah, and I love it. I've been very into scrunchies lately. I have one on my wrist a lot of the time to get my hair out of the way for breastfeeding or when she's grabbing at it. And now that it's getting warmer, there's definitely going to be a lot more wanting to get it off my neck. So very cool to have a handmade one, and I definitely think I could make more. I'm curious to see what it would look like made out of a more traditional yarn instead of the Kestral, because I think that could be interesting as well. So really just the concept of knitting a scrunchie is fun. Let's see. I finished a couple things that I was working on in the last episode. I finished the brioche hat I was doing, the Andrea Mowrey with this lovely Retrosaria Yarn. I don't know what I was thinking when I cast it on, but I chose the large adult size. There was like a small adult and a large adult. And maybe I just looked at it and assumed that it was like baby, child, adult or something, and so I just picked like the third size, something like that. I don't know. But anyway, it's definitely way too big. Let's just see what it's looking like. Actually, it doesn't look that bad now. I just don't love the way it looks on me. I mainly made it as more of a process knit than a product knit. I mean, I love this yarn. I wanted to do something with it after picking it up in Portugal, and I love brioche, so I just enjoyed making the hat, and I always kind of had in the back of my mind, like, I'll see if I like it on me, and if I don't, I'll give it away. So it could very well end up being a could very well end up being a gift knit. She dropped her toy. Here you go. And if so, I think I would give it to my father because he has a large head and a ton of hair, and he's got like a big curly mop. And he also really like always folds over the brim of his hats, like no matter what. Like I've knit him colorwork hats and he folds over the brim and shows the floats, like he just does not care. But when you fold over the brim on this, I think it has a really cool look because of the 2-color brioche. So I think it could be a cool hat for him. Yeah, so that got finished, and then there you go. And then I also finished the bibs that I Pikachu. I also finished the bibs that I was making for Coco. I'm so distracted. Do you want to lie down again? Let me see if you want to lie down again. So I was making her some bibs. This pattern is on my project page. I don't remember what it's called. And these are for when she starts teething and drooling more. She's not a huge drooler yet, so we haven't broken them out yet. And she has like a wipeable bib that we're going to be using for feeding. So this would just be to kind of put on her for every day to soak up some of that extra slobber when she hits the teething stage. So those are finished, and another fun, cute, simple instant gratification project. And then another one, which you may have noticed here in the background, is these rainbows, which is a mobile that I made for her crib. I just brought it down to show you. This just clips onto the side of the crib. And I basically just made up this way of doing these rainbows, and I think they are so incredibly cute. I'm like very, very proud. I still need to write up the pattern. I'm not gonna like make a pattern, but I'm gonna write up like project notes for my page so that other people can make them. Or I might possibly do like a knit along style tutorial for them. I think could be fun for the channel. So let me know if you'd like to see that, because they do knit up so quickly that I could do like a knit along where we just make them together over video, which I think could be fun. But yeah, they're very simple. It's basically an I-cord, and there's some seaming going on, and you don't have to weave in ends even for the seaming because they all just disappear into the fringe. So really cool stuff. I absolutely love them. This is so the color palette that I was talking about. Like, this is just the color story of my dreams here. All the terracottas and the corals and the dusty pinks. Just loving it right now. I used the same rainbow sort of concept to make a much larger rainbow with the more shades, more of a rainbow palette, to hang from our tree outside where it leans over it makes like a canopy over the sidewalk where people walk, because everyone's been putting out rainbows during the pandemic, and I really wanted to do like a knit one. So I had this idea. I can't remember which I did first, actually. I think I was doing the little ones first, and then I had the idea of making the big one. But anyway, I'll insert a picture of it because I don't have it here because it's tied up outside. But it's the exact same thing, except just more stripes. And yeah, and I did that I made it bigger. I did it with a bunch of scraps. Like this one is fingering held doubled, and then I think that one is like decay held double or something like that. So it's a bit bigger as well in terms of just the actual scale. And she's on her tummy again. There she is. And then the last thing that I have to share with you, gosh, this is going by really fast. I hope I'm not like crazy rushing. You know, bad light, rushing, interruptions. Great episode so far, right? Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. That is what I'm telling myself. So I hope you appreciate that we're here, as imperfect as we are today. There you have it. So there is the project that I'm working on. Well, for one thing, I did actually get out a little while ago my Daydreamer again, which I had been paused on since back before I gave birth. And I just sort of got over the hump of like, I had finished the front and the back was still on like a holder. And I did pick it up and I knit, I guess from that marker from the owl, so not very much. And then I had to take the needles again because I needed them for, I think, the garment that I'm making right now. But I at least kind of braved my fear of jumping back into it again a little bit. So it is a difficult project to work on at this season in my life for sure. But I don't want to let it sit too long because then I feel like I will totally like not lose steam on the project, but more like lose the muscle memory of what the texture is. So yeah, I don't want to let it sit for like a year. I'm a little worried about that. You want to get rolled back over? We're gonna see what we can do with this. With that. So before I show you my whip, because it's going to be a little hard to do that while I'm holding her, I will. God, I completely keep losing my train of thought. Right, I wanted to talk a little bit about other things that I'm thinking about knitting soon, since I have some time to talk about that in this episode, it looks like. It's like my brain just like stops working temporarily. Do you know, like, yes, okay. So I want to make a little onesie for her, like a two-tone onesie. I'll be inserting photos of these patterns. And I got some cotton yarn from Knit Picks to do it with. So I need to get going on that if she's going to have that for the summer. But I'm also excited about finishing the tank that I'm working on for myself right now. And then there's other summer garments I also want to do for myself. So we'll see where we get. I want to make, what I've been talking about for a long time is making another Tanya with linen. And I have some black linen from Knit Picks that I would love to make that out of. Yeah. And I also got some yarn for a sort of around the house loungy project, which of course is perfect for these times. I grabbed this Madeline Tosh work sock, my favorite Mad Tosh, in Cold Drip, which is like, it's a brown, but it's almost got like a rosy undertone to it, and it's a nice little tonal. And I grabbed this because I want to make Jessie May's separates, her ripple crop top and then her ripple, I think maybe they're called like booty shorts or something, I can't remember, but she has like these ribbed shorts, lounge shorts that go with her other rib designs, her bralettes and her crop tops. And I really, really love the idea of making like a little matching set for hanging out around the house as I do so much. And now that it's getting to be warm, I think this will be great for it. It is a DK weight pattern, so I definitely wanted superwash yarn because I didn't want it to be too warm for like a summery lounge wear thing. Obviously, I also could have gone cotton, but cotton is not very elastic, so I don't love working with it, and it also I don't think would give me quite the same fit in terms of the ribbing, just sort of helping those shorts like be very fitted to all the curves of your body. So hopefully that yarn is a good choice for that. And I'm hoping that I'll have time to do that before the summer's over, but we'll see. I'm not sure if I'm going to prioritize Coco's romper, which shouldn't take that long, and obviously I need to do that this year because next year she'll be a different size and I won't have enough yarn. So I probably should prioritize that, but I also really want that Jessie May outfit, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, then I should show you what I am currently working on trying to finish. And are you gonna let me set you down so I can show them that? How about I set you right here so you're closer to mommy, huh? I've been putting her on her, we used to call it her space station. It's her little play gym that it's got like a solar system theme, and it's on the floor. But if I put her on the chair right here, she might feel like she's a little closer to me. Hi, just real quick while we show this. No, it's okay, baby. This is a pattern from Pom Pom, I think last year, maybe their summer issue. And it is a tank. This is the back panel coming up over the shoulder, yes. And then it's going to have a seam, and then the lower portion of the front will have stripes going vertically, and it has a little tie. So I'll insert a picture. I am using the exact colors and yarn that it's written for, which is Quince and Co. I think it's called Sparrow. They're fingering weight linen, which is, it's the first time I've done a linen that's like a traditional ply. It's just a 4-ply instead of like the ribbon style that the Kestral is. And then this is their, I want to say it's like a wool silk blend maybe. So it's interesting to do the different blends. So the stripes are in this wool silk blend, and of course they have that pearl bump ridge, so they really pop against the very different texture of the linen. So really interesting the way those yarns are used together. I definitely wanted to use the yarn it was written for because I loved that. I loved that textural element. And then I was going to use a different shade for the stripes, like something, I'm not sure exactly what I wanted. I think I wanted kind of like a cream, but they were sold out, so I ended up using the color that it was written for anyway. But I was always definitely going to use this color. I think it's called Penny. That the main color is, because obviously it's in my wheelhouse of my whole color story that I'm obsessed with right now. Here you go. Yeah, so this, I'm very excited about having the project. I have to say, I'm a little bit challenged by the, you come here? Zoop, zoop, zoop. I'm a little bit challenged by the experience of knitting it, simply because, like I keep saying, I'm not in the greatest I'm exactly right. My brain is just not functioning up to par, and so I really enjoy stripes and the extra hint of doing the garter ridge, the pearl bumps with the contrast is really cool. I've been, carrying that stripe up the edge so I don't have to weave in ends, and all of that is enough to keep interest, and I've really been enjoying all of that. The thing that has been a little bit too much and not fun is that the way the pattern is written, for the different sizes, she doesn't tell you, like when you're increasing and decreasing to make the shaping and stuff, she doesn't ever tell you how many stripes you will have gone. She tells you in rows, and then like repeat this, like she'll be like, do an increase row, repeat it 15 more times, and then blah, blah, blah. So in your head, you're having to go, okay, I'm doing it every other row 15 more times, so that's 30 rows. And then the stripe pattern is every 8 rows, so then you're like doing math so that you can count the stripes instead of having to count every single row. And all of that is like, of course I'm perfectly capable of doing it. It's just not the most fun thing in the world, and it's also a little difficult to do when you are having trouble focusing and you're constantly being interrupted, and you know, you were going to mark where you did the increase, but right before you could mark it, the baby woke up from her nap, and now you don't know what you were doing though when you set it down last, you know. It's just one of those things where it's like, I think the pattern could have given me just that extra bit of information of like, for this size, you will be on row 2 of the repeat and have 8 total stripes, you know, something like that. Like, they were perfectly capable of putting that information in. It would have been a little, I think it's probably not in there because being a print magazine, that's probably what it is. Like, they don't want to give you more information than you need because it takes up more space. So I totally get it. Like, the more I think about it, I'm like, I understand that choice editorially. And it's not a complaint about the pattern or about Pom Pom, which is like my very favorite publication, and I adore them. Yeah, it's not the very perfect project for me to be working on right now with where my brain is at. But I'm getting through it, and I will be through the more complicated part, which is the increase and decreasing for the shoulder shaping. I've done the left side, so I just have to do all of that one more time, and then I think the rest of it will be a little bit simpler to keep in my head. For one thing, when I do the second side, I can just sort of look and just do whatever I did on the other side and not worry so much about it. So yeah, but I love it. I'm gonna love wearing it. I'm very, very excited about wearing it. And I haven't done stripes in a while, and it really reminds me how much I do love knitting stripes. Some people really, really hate them, which is why self-striping yarn even exists, and like, I totally get it. But if you know how to carry your yarn so that you don't have to weave in ends, I think they're quite fun. I think they just have that like little bit of interest that makes things nice. So I'm a fan, and I'm definitely a fan of all these linen tops. I definitely don't enjoy working with linen as much as I do with wool in terms of the feel of it and everything, but I don't dislike it at all. It's not like too hard on my hands, and I love wearing it, so it's worth it. And it's also nice when it's really hot to be working with something that doesn't have that like sticky woolliness. It's much more comfortable to touch the linen if you're like sitting on your porch on a hot summer day knitting. So yeah, enjoying all my linen makes, enjoying my whole color story obsession right now. Tell me what colors you're obsessed with right now, like what color combinations or what shades you've found yourself being drawn toward in the last season or a year, especially if they're like shades or something that you weren't necessarily always using before. I would love to hear that. And goodness, I guess we're basically done talking about this stuff, so maybe I'll just do a little chatter section like we used to do in the old times, huh? There's so much to chat about. Let's see, well, first and foremost, and I should have said this up top, but you know, it's like there's always so much on your mind when you're starting an episode. But I did want to say, wherever you are, I very much hope that you and your loved ones are safe and well. I think connecting with each other online, we all know, is like more important than it's ever been. And I'm very much aware that any and all of you might be facing really challenging times in terms of health and employment and just fear about the future. And we're all in very different situations. So if you're, regardless of what your situation is, if it is somewhat challenging, as I think all of ours are at the moment, my heart really goes out to you, and I'm thinking of you. We here are incredibly fortunate, and I have been feeling gratitude every day. For one thing, we are both still employed, which it sounds like the numbers are saying about half of American adults right now are out of work. So the fact that we both are still employed is definitely against the odds, and we feel very grateful, especially given that we have this new little girl to take care of, and things have been tighter financially with all the medical bills and stuff recently, so it's a weight off our shoulders that we don't have to worry about that aspect of things. I'm also incredibly fortunate that in addition to getting to work from home with my job and having that flexibility, my coworkers and everyone has also been incredibly understanding of the fact that I'm working from home and caring for an infant at the same time. So it was definitely a little challenging at first. I was still working overtime hours as I typically do, and that was not gonna work, but I was able to voice my limitations and set boundaries, which was a challenge for me, but I was proud of myself for being able to sort of ask for what I needed, and everyone that I work with has been incredible, and I feel very well taken care of, and now I'm able to get my work done and also give myself to this little girl at the same time, and my days really are wonderful. I'm very concerned about the state of the world, and I have anxiety about that, and I miss getting to be physically close with my family outside of my immediate family very much. And I'm definitely upset that when my little girl is so little, she doesn't get to be held by her grandparents anymore, and probably won't until she's quite a bit bigger, and all of that is rough. But generally speaking, day to day, my life is incredible, and I am so grateful for this sort of extended maternity leave of just being home with her and not having her in daycare. She literally went to daycare for 3 days. I was going back to work right when the shutdowns were happening. So to get to spend more time bonding with her has been incredible. It's what I always wanted. I always wanted a longer maternity leave like they get in civilized countries, unlike this one. Yeah, and yet having the work and that connection with my coworkers has helped me feel less isolated actually than I did during my actual maternity leave when I wasn't working. And thank God I got to go back to the office for a couple days, because I think that really helped energize me to keep going and not feel total isolation, because instead of like I actually got to see some coworkers in person and briefly feel like I was getting back into it. In a way that made it harder, but ultimately I think it made it easier. So yeah, I definitely feel scared sometimes. Ryan works in healthcare. For any of you that don't know, he's a medical lab technician, and my father is a doctor, and my father-in-law also works in a hospital. So we have lots of people on the front lines, and they're coming home to all of us, and could be bringing home the virus at some point. Hopefully not, but that's constantly in the back of my head. My mother and my mother-in-law are both high risk for their age, and they both have asthma, and my mother-in-law has diabetes. My mother is being incredibly careful, which I'm very grateful for, because she is the most precious, just one of the most precious things in the world to me. And yeah, I feel scared a lot for her, and I'm really glad that she's being careful. And we get together and do long distance walks and stuff like that, but the fact that she can't really be physically close to Coco anymore has been really, really hard. I did not choose to have a baby living in a different city than my family. I chose to live here, and I chose to be close to them, and I wanted to have their support and raise her in the village of my family. And the fact that that support has had to come in a different form and feel more long distance over the last few months um, has been just not what I planned on. And that has been something to mourn for sure. That has been a disappointment. Um, but like I said, I feel more gratitude than anything else, because I know that comparatively speaking, we have it so good. And also, Coco, like, she makes things harder but easier with the quarantine. Like, if I weren't a mom right now, I would definitely be having like more of a vacation, you know, and that would be nice. Um, and I wouldn't have to have the concern of like, what if she gets sick and all that kind of stuff, right? But at the same time, she does make it easier because I really like know where my focus is, and I have this sense of purpose, and every day I know exactly what I need to be doing, and it's like looking out for her, and I know how to do that. I know how to take care of one person, even though I can't control the world. And that, for both Ryan and I, has been really grounding, I guess, in dealing with all of this. Yeah. So she is just a huge, huge blessing in terms of that, and in terms of many other things. And also, just look at her; she's so cute. Yeah, there's my girl. Mwah. So yeah, she's gonna be 6 months in a couple weeks, which is crazy. We've started introducing some solid food, mainly just trying to get her to learn how to chew and swallow and stuff like that. She likes cereal and avocados, but she doesn't like anything else we've given her. She didn't like apples or peas or raspberries or banana. But we're gonna keep trying it. You know, I've only been mashing things, you know, making my own purees and stuff, and sometimes mixing it with breast milk, depending on the thing. I haven't tried any store-bought anything except for the baby cereal. And yeah, so that's lots of huge milestones with her. I feel every day she's doing something new. Like I was talking about, she's very into rolling onto her tummy right now. She makes huge progress. Like every day she's suddenly a master of something that she was just starting to explore the day before. She's reaching for toys and rolling around and, you know, imitating the sounds that we make. She loves to laugh. She loves to stand with assistance and jump in her jelly jumper. We've still been doing physical therapy with like a telehealth thing. So it's like a Zoom call basically, which is not as great as in-person physical therapy, of course, but it's something, and we're continuing to do all the exercises at home and making progress there. The progress is definitely slower now because her remaining challenges are not as dramatic, so we're just not seeing as much dramatic improvement. But everything with that has been great. I was having serious breastfeeding challenges because of her torticollis and this like a neck stiffness that she was born with because of how she was positioned in the womb. And it caused really bad breastfeeding problems. It took us a long time to figure out that was the issue. And with the physical therapy, breastfeeding has just gone from, you know, a torture to a joy. So that's been huge. And every day we do a lot of side lying breastfeeding, and I'll rest while she naps in the bed after, and we've been Co-sleeping, she's still going through her sleep regression, which has been real rough. I've not been sleeping well, which I think is part of the cognitive issues. But yeah, that's also just her making progress, because they call it a regression, but really it's when they go from having 2 sleep cycles to all 4 sleep cycles that adults have, and they have to sort of get used to it, and it makes it difficult for them to, like, they wake up and they have trouble falling back asleep on their own, basically, and they have to learn how. And all the books say that it lasts like a couple weeks, and it's literally been going on for like 3 months. So she was such a good sleeper. Like, starting like month 1, she would sleep like 5-6 hours at a time. And then she was sleeping like 7 hours at a time. And then right about the time the shutdowns were happening, she started just waking up every 1 or 2 hours, and it was chaos. It's starting to get a little bit easier now, and I've gotten better at figuring out how to deal with it and how to kind of keep myself in that sleepy mode when I wake up and breastfeed her, so that I can fall back asleep more easily. But yeah, lots of new challenges, lots of new achievements, huh? Anything else going on? I guess we're going to leave it there. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're doing well wherever you are. And I will see you again when I have some more stuff to share. Take care. Happy Memorial Day coming up if you live in the States and celebrate it. And yeah.